I have just finished reading, or should I say rereading, this book, Heavy Duty by Mike Mentzer. Now, I first came across Mike Mentzer about 25 years ago as a young guy reading weightlifting and bodybuilding magazines, and I liked his articles. They made sense. They seemed very well thought out. And then a good friend of mine back then got me one of the pamphlets that he wrote before this book was ever written. We laughed at the information in those pamphlets. We thought it was ridiculous. It was counter to everything you'll read back then in the fitness magazines, everything you'll probably hear on fitness YouTube and everything else now. And it seems like it will always be counter to what's pushed. The reason most of what's pushed is counter to this is because this stuff works, this stuff makes sense, and it's very, very simple. The problem with that is if the whole science of getting stronger and becoming fitter is very, very simple, then that gets rid of billions and billions of pounds of industries. The diet industry, there's the keto diet now, there's this diet, there's that diet. People are fat because they eat too much. That's the umbrella fact. And underneath that you have, of course, micronutrients and everything else, and what sort of diet works best for people with certain allergies. But people are fat because they eat too much, nothing else, right? And in the exercise industry, there's all these different workout routines, there's all of this, there's all of that, but there's a basic scientific fact behind what causes your muscles to get stronger, you to become fitter. Basic scientific fact. But if all you needed was those facts, and then maybe a bit of discipline and hard work to apply those facts, what would happen to all of the fitness industries? What would happen to these magazines designed to sell billions and billions of pounds of supplements and this and that? Imagine if you trained hard enough and well enough to lose a load of fat, for which you require a calorie deficit, and to gain, 10 pounds of muscle in a year, which is very, very, very easily doable. You'd only need an extra 6,000 calories for that whole year, or maybe, a peanut a day, something like that. So consuming all these protein supplements and this and that is not necessary to help you to become stronger or fitter. It's necessary to line the pockets of the people who make these supplements. But this book, anyway, getting back to this book, is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I read it now 25 years later and it's still absolutely phenomenal. For anybody, man or woman, who's interested in becoming stronger, and by stronger I mean fitter as well, this book is a must. You have to read it. And I guess after you read this, you'll probably want to read a lot more about him, about the writer, and by the writer, who passed away, unfortunately, quite young, at the age of 51, I think, back in 2001. He was a contemporary of Arnold Schwarzenegger, recognized fairly, I think, by most people as the greatest bodybuilder of all time, one of them at least. In 1980, Mike Mentzer was in the Mr. Olympia, and the winner of that Mr. Olympia was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lots of people think that was an unfair decision, and a lot of the bodybuilders at the time were seen in the car park afterwards smashing their trophies because they felt ripped off. I've got nothing against Arnold. I think he's amazing, and one of the best bodybuilders of all time. But I do think Mike deserved to win that. I think Mike took it particularly badly because he became mentally unstable after that. I think he was even in a psychiatric institution for a while, which was great for everybody else in the fitness industry because they said, look, there's proof he's mad. But it's certainly not proof that his concepts that he popularized don't work. They do work. My friend and I, who trained this way, essentially became stronger every single workout for years. Who is there out there who can say that they become stronger every single workout and every single exercise? And people may be watching this and saying, well, if that's the case, how come you're not Mr. Olympia? How come you're not built like, The Rock? Well, that's down to genetic potential. How strong you become is defined by your genetic potential. And as for women, think, I don't want to become muscular. Well, you won't, unless you're a hermaphrodite or you have huge amounts of testosterone. Without steroids, you cannot become unfeminine just through lifting weights. You'll become the best you can be in terms of strength and health and everything else. But don't think that pissing around with an exercise band or a 5-pound pink weight is going to do you any good, because it won't. You'll become as strong and powerful as you can come. I'm having a bit of a rant here because this book has really fired me up, and for anybody who's interested in fitness, not just in being superbly muscular, but the same applies Read that book. It's so damn good. I don't know if you can even buy it anymore, because I looked for it on Amazon thinking I had lost this. I found it at my mother's house, and there are used copies available for £90 and upwards. So obviously a collector's item. You know, they're harder to get rid of since they're harder to get hold of since Mike passed away. But really, really phenomenal reading. I mean, you know, if I had a physique idol when I was a kid, it was this guy. But then, you know, a lot of people know what works, but they stop doing it occasionally. And you know, you have an open mind, you have a curious mind. It's easy to be influenced. So I've tried all the different methods of training in my life. I've tried the, you know, the Arnold 20 sets of body part and everything else. But this is what works. I strongly recommend you buy this book, or you get hold of this book, or if somebody you know has this book, borrow it. It's Heavy Duty by Mike Mentzer. There's also a Heavy Duty 2, which if I can find my copy, I will review. I have to go because I'm in a car and I see a ticket inspector. All right, take care.